I never imagined life could feel so empty, even in a house that seemed perfect. I had married Thomas 5 years ago, a man older than me by nearly 2 decades, drawn to his stability, his charm, the promise of a calm, secure life. Our house was immaculate, our social circle enviable, and yet, a part of me felt restless, yearning for something I couldn't quite name. It wasn't Thomas's fault. He was kind, generous, thoughtful even, and I loved him, or at least I thought I did. But over the years, our passion had dwindled to polite kisses and courteous touches, replaced by the quiet hum of routine. The spark we had once shared now felt like a distant memory, flickering faintly only when he smiled at me across the breakfast table. And then there was Steve. My stepson, Thomas's 22-year-old son from a previous marriage, had always been polite and friendly, but nothing more. Until recently, I barely noticed him, not really. But something had changed. He was no longer just Thomas's son in my eyes. He had grown into a man, tall and strong, with an effortless confidence that radiated from every glance, every movement. And his eyes, they lingered on me in ways that were both thrilling and terrifying. It began with small things. A brush of his hand against mine while passing a plate at dinner, a lingering gaze when he caught me off guard in the kitchen. I tried to dismiss them, telling myself I was imagining things, that I was reading too much into innocent interactions. But the tension between us was tangible, like a current pulsing in the air every time he entered the room. One evening, I stayed up later than usual, finishing some paperwork in the study. I was startled when I heard the door creak open. Steve stepped in, casual at first, but the way he leaned against the doorframe, relaxed yet deliberate, made my pulse quicken. "Still working?" he asked, his voice low, teasing. I forced a smile, feeling my cheeks flush. "Just finishing up a few things. You should get ready for bed." He chuckled, a sound that sent a shiver down my spine. "Can't sleep yet. Thought I'd see what you were up to." I told myself it was harmless curiosity, but I couldn't ignore the heat spreading across my skin. Every time he was near, I felt a magnetic pull I couldn't resist. My mind raced, filled with thoughts I knew were dangerous, forbidden. Over the following weeks, our interactions grew bolder, though still veiled under the guise of normalcy. A hand lingering a moment too long when passing something across the counter, a soft brush of shoulders as we moved past each other in the hall. Each accidental, or perhaps not so accidental, touch sent waves of desire crashing through me. I hated myself for it. Hated the way my heart raced when he was near, the way my body ached in secret longing. Yet, part of me couldn't help but crave it, the forbidden thrill that made every moment with him electric. One rainy afternoon, Thomas was away on a business trip. The house was quiet except for the soft patter of rain against the windows. I was curled up on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, when Steve appeared, holding a cup of tea. "I made this for you," he said softly, offering it. His fingers brushed mine, sending a jolt straight to my core. "Thank you," I murmured, my voice trembling slightly. I didn't pull away, even though every rational thought screamed that I should. He sat down beside me, close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from his body. The room seemed to shrink around us, the silence growing heavy with unspoken tension. His eyes met mine, and I saw something there, a mixture of desire, longing, and restraint that mirrored my own feelings. For the first time, I realized the truth. I was falling for him, and the more I tried to fight it, the more uncontrollable it became. The days after that rainy afternoon were impossible to ignore. Every moment with Steve was electric, charged with a heat neither of us dared to name aloud. I caught myself imagining his hands on me when I was alone, my mind spinning with forbidden fantasies that made me ache in ways I hadn't felt in years. One evening, I was in the kitchen preparing dinner when I felt his presence behind me. He leaned casually against the counter, watching me with that same intense gaze that made my breath hitch. "You've been distracted lately," he said, a teasing lilt in his voice. I laughed nervously, trying to appear composed. "I guess I've had a lot on my mind." His eyes softened, and for a brief moment, the teasing vanished. "Mind if I help you unwind?" The words were innocent enough, but the way he said them, the heat in his eyes, made my body respond before my mind could protest. I felt a thrill shoot through me as he reached over to adjust a loose strand of hair falling across my face. His fingers lingered just a moment too long, brushing my cheek in a way that was electric, intimate. I swallowed hard, trying to regain control, but my heart was racing. "You're going to get me in trouble," I whispered, though a part of me wished I wouldn't resist. He leaned closer, his voice low and husky. "Trouble can be exciting." I froze, my body trembling under the weight of his words. That brief proximity, the warmth of his breath on my skin, made me dizzy with desire. My rational mind screamed to stop, to remember who he was, but every nerve in my body betrayed me. A week later, it happened again, closer, bolder. We were sitting on the living room couch, ostensibly watching a movie, but our focus was nowhere near the screen. His hand brushed mine while reaching for a pillow, and I didn't pull away. Instead, I felt a shiver run through me, a mix of guilt and anticipation that left me breathless. "Linda," he whispered, almost accidentally, his eyes locking with mine. The name on his lips sounded like a caress, a promise, a temptation I couldn't resist. Without thinking, I turned slightly toward him, our faces inches apart. The room seemed to vanish, leaving only the tension between us. His hand found mine again, but this time, he didn't let go. Our fingers intertwined, and the simple touch sent sparks through my body, igniting a fire I had tried so hard to suppress. "You shouldn't," I murmured, my voice trembling. "I know," he replied softly, his thumb brushing against the back of my hand. "But I can't help it." The honesty in his eyes, the raw desire he tried to hide, made my resolve crumble. I leaned closer, unable to resist the magnetic pull between us. Our lips brushed, just a featherlight touch at first, but the electricity was immediate, overwhelming. My heart pounded as he hesitated, then pressed a gentle, lingering kiss to my lips, as if testing the boundaries, as if asking for permission I didn't know I could deny. When he pulled back slightly, our foreheads rested together, and we both gasped softly. The line we had been dancing around for weeks had finally blurred, and there was no going back. Every glance, every touch since then had been building to this moment, the first undeniable spark of our forbidden passion. I knew the risks, the danger, the betrayal. Yet, I couldn't deny the overwhelming desire coursing through me, the thrill of the secret, stolen connection. Steve's presence had awakened something I thought I had lost forever, something wild and intoxicating that made me feel alive again. That night, I lay in bed beside Thomas, pretending to sleep, my mind replaying every second with Steve. The ache between my thighs was a reminder of the forbidden fire that burned brighter with every passing day. I closed my eyes, imagining his touch, his kisses, the way his hands seemed to know exactly how to ignite every part of me. And I realized, with a mixture of fear and exhilaration, that I was no longer just his stepmother. I was a woman consumed by desire, falling helplessly, dangerously in love with the one person I should never want. The tension between us had become impossible to ignore. Every glance, every accidental touch, was electric, sparking heat that neither of us could contain. I found myself seeking him out, craving the brush of his fingers, the brush of his lips against mine, even though I knew it was wrong. One late evening, Thomas had gone out for a business dinner, leaving the house unusually quiet. I was in the living room, flipping through a magazine, but my mind wasn't on the words. Steve appeared in the doorway, leaning casually, his eyes dark with desire. "Couldn't sleep?" I asked, my voice betraying the anticipation I felt. "No," he said, stepping closer. "Couldn't stop thinking about you." The words hit me like a thunderclap. My pulse raced, my body heating instantly. He closed the distance between us, his hand brushing mine in a deliberate, lingering touch. I felt a shiver run through me, and my breath caught. Without thinking, I leaned closer. His lips met mine in a kiss that started soft, tentative, but quickly deepened. My hands found his chest, feeling the solid heat beneath his shirt, while he wrapped his arms around me, pulling me closer as if he never wanted to let go. Every kiss, every touch, was intoxicating. The forbidden thrill of our secret connection sent waves of desire coursing through me. My body ached for him, every nerve on fire, every heartbeat pounding with anticipation. We moved together instinctively, drawn by a force neither of us could resist. His hands traced the curves of my body, memorizing every inch, while I responded with a hunger I hadn't felt in years. Each movement, each whispered sigh, pushed us further into the realm of passion, until the world outside the walls of the house ceased to exist. "I shouldn't be doing this," I whispered, my voice trembling. "Neither should I," he admitted, his lips brushing against my ear. "But I can't stop." The words were a confession, a promise, and a warning all at once. And I realized I didn't want him to stop. I wanted this, craved it, needed it. The heat between us was undeniable, overwhelming, consuming every thought, every sensation. We moved to the bedroom, hands exploring, lips devouring. Clothes fell away, revealing skin that burned with desire. The first time our bodies met fully, it was like an explosion, every touch amplified by the forbidden nature of our passion. I moaned his name, lost in the sensation, lost in him. He was gentle and demanding at once, knowing exactly how to drive me wild, how to awaken desires I hadn't even realized were there. Every kiss, every caress, every whispered word heightened the intensity, pulling us deeper into a world where only the two of us existed. Afterwards, we lay entwined, breathing heavily, our bodies still trembling with the aftershocks of our passion. I traced his features with my fingers, memorizing the lines of his face, the warmth of his skin, the way his chest rose and fell with each breath. "I shouldn't feel this way," I murmured, resting my head against his shoulder. "You can't help it," he replied softly, pressing a gentle kiss to my temple. "Neither can I." The truth was undeniable. We were both caught in a web of desire, unable to resist, unable to stop. And even as guilt lingered at the edges of our minds, the intensity of our connection was too strong to ignore. In that moment, I realized something terrifying and exhilarating. I was no longer just a stepmother. I was a woman in love, in lust, in longing, and there was no turning back. The fire between us had been lit, and it burned brighter with every stolen glance, every secret touch, every forbidden kiss. The weeks that followed were a delicate dance of secrecy and stolen moments. Every encounter with Steve was charged with electricity, each touch and kiss carrying the thrill of forbidden desire. We became experts at hiding our passion, knowing the world outside our walls couldn't understand what we shared. One night, Thomas had gone away for a weekend conference. The house was empty, silent except for the faint hum of the night outside. I sat in the living room, nerves tingling with anticipation, when Steve entered quietly, carrying 2 glasses of wine. "For us," he whispered, handing me a glass. His eyes held that same intensity, that same fire, and I felt my resolve melt immediately. We moved closer, bodies brushing, lips meeting with a hunger that had grown impossible to deny. That night, every touch, every kiss, was heightened by the absence of anyone else. Our connection, raw and untamed, consumed us. We explored each other fully, not rushing, savoring every sensation, every gasp, every whispered word. His hands knew exactly how to ignite every part of me, and I responded with a passion I had never known I could feel. Our bodies moved together in perfect harmony, an unspoken understanding of desire and love intertwined. Hours passed like minutes. By the time we collapsed, breathless and entangled, the fire between us had not dimmed. It had transformed into something deeper, something undeniable. I pressed my forehead to his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart, and realized with clarity that this was more than lust. "I never imagined," I whispered, voice trembling with emotion, "that I could feel this way." Steve held me tightly, his voice soft, yet filled with conviction. "Neither did I." But now, there's no turning back. I don't want to. In that moment, I surrendered fully, not just to desire, but to love. The guilt, the fear, the whispers of what was forbidden still lingered, but they were drowned out by the intensity of our connection. I had found something I thought I had lost forever. A man who understood me, who ignited every part of me, who made me feel alive again. The following days were filled with quiet intimacy, secret touches, longing glances, and whispered promises. Every moment together was precious, a mixture of passion and tenderness. We were bound not only by desire, but by the deep emotional connection that had grown between us, unstoppable and undeniable. And though the world outside might never approve, within the walls of our secret, private world, we had found something extraordinary, a love that was wild, forbidden, and breathtakingly beautiful. That night, as I lay in his arms, I realized the truth. Life had brought me to an unexpected place, married to his father, yet falling completely, irrevocably in love with Steve. And I no longer feared the fire between us. I embraced it, cherished it, knowing that this was the passion and love I had always been searching for. In the warmth of his embrace, with his lips tracing soft kisses along my skin, I finally felt whole, alive, and utterly, deliciously desired. And in that moment, I knew we had found our forever together.